Marches, and Johad, his Turcopole steward, appeared as if conjured from a jinn's lamp. The man bowed deeply, flashed his master a gleaming smile, and presented him with a cup of freshly pressed fruit juice, which Renard took and finished in several swift, parched gulps. "Johad, you're a godsend," he said in Arabic as he removed the linen coif from his head. His hair clung to his scalp in black, saturated spikes, and sweat trickled into the dark auburn grizzle of a 3 days' beard. Returning the cup to his steward, he crossed the stable-yard to the bath-house. William de Lorris followed him. Ancelin, whose dislike of fruit juice was matched only by his dislike of taking baths, waved in disgust and perspired away in the direction of the kitchen to find some decent household wine. "Home," Renard said later as he sat cross-legged on the floor. Dressed in a cotton shirt and shoes and the flimsiest of silk tunics, he was eating a pilaf of saffron-coloured wild rice and spiced lamb. "If I were at home now, I'd be shivering in the thickest tunic I could find with my winter cloak on top of it and dining on salt beef and gritty bread." "Better than this muck," growled Ancelin, spitting a wad of gristle onto the bright rug. "Camel's stew to eat and camel's piss to drink." Grinning, Renard reached, Arab style, for the pilaf bowl. "When in Antioch?" he said lightly. But although he had learned to enjoy the Eastern way of life, he found that tonight the thought of salt beef was making his mouth water. William de Lorris gave his young lord a considering look. "What else would you be doing if you were at Ravenstow now?" Renard snorted. "God knows. Probably quarrelling with my father about the estates or disgracing myself with some woman. Now there's a thought." Ancelin's eyes brightened. De Lorris eased a rag of meat between his teeth. "It wouldn't be as good," he said. "The women back home aren't trained like the ones here." Ancelin stabbed his index finger at de Lorris. "You can do it halfway up a wall, with one leg on the roof and the other on the couch, if you like. What's happened to good honest futtering, I'd like to know?" Renard regarded the two men with amusement, but felt no inclination to take sides. There were valid points to both arguments. His thoughts drifted past them towards the huge starlit darkness outside. What, indeed, would he be doing at home now? Quarrelling with his father, as he had jested? Perhaps. More likely struggling to keep the land stable, as Stephen and Matilda between them whipped England into the worst storm for its people since the coming of the Conqueror. When Renard had left Antioch, all had been as calm as a mill-pond, with King Henry as sharp-eyed, parsimonious and cunning as ever, in expert control of all he surveyed, except his own mortality. Within 2 months of Renard's departure, the old man was dead of a bad eel stew, and his lands cast into turmoil as his daughter and his nephew tussled for the throne. Renard had wanted to come home, but his father had advised against it. Stephen, having snatched the first initiative and with it the crown, was demanding sureties for good behaviour in the form of hostages from those barons he did not trust, his father among them. If Renard was absent, then he need neither be yielded up nor refused to the king, and a smiling diplomacy could be maintained. Renard's 2 younger brothers were already Marcher landholders in their own right, and therefore unlikely to be summoned to dally in custody at the court. John, his older brother, was a chaplain in the Earl of Leicester's household, and since the latter strongly supported Stephen's right to be king, John was safe for the moment. Ancelin and de Lorris were still discussing women. Washing his hands in a bowl of rose-scented water and drying them on the towel presented by Johad, Renard wondered briefly about Ellen. How old would she be now? Approaching 17 and more than ready for marriage. She had been willing 4 years ago, but her body had been unripe, even if her mind had been set, and the ceremony had been deferred until his return. Nell, he thought, with her puppy-like devotion and her joy in all aspects of domestic duty. A fine wife she would make, and an excellent mother to the enormous brood of children with which she expected him to furnish her. Neither